So electronic sourcing strategy, that is huge because we need to have a strategy. If we're just doing it by the seat of our pants and making decisions as we go without an end goal in mind to accomplish our strategy, well, we're going to go down the wrong roads, overcorrect and go down other wrong roads, trying to get to our final destination. So let's look at change, because we need to get people on board with using this system, right? So how do we cultivate that proactive change? Well, we have 5 areas that we need to get people involved in. Top management. We need the top managers, the executives, behind this. And some are behind it, some will not be. And the ones that will be behind it usually will understand the procurement side of the company. So this might be your chief information officer, your chief procurement officer, your chief operating officer. But then you might get, for example, a chief executive officer who doesn't understand it, and all they see is how much the company has spent on this system. And they will be blown away because of how expensive implementing one of these systems is. But we need to get everybody on board, from the CEO to the brand new hire at the company. We need to get them all on board. So we need to involve the relevant decision makers when we're moving forward to make this kind of a change. We need to share success stories. For example, a powerful success story might be, hey, our rival just did this and they saw a 10% jump in their market share. We didn't do it, but we lost 5% of that market share because they took business from us, because they can do it more efficient and better. And then you can also use, well, this other company implemented it, who is in a similar industry but not a competitor of ours, and they doubled their profits in a short period of time. Now, I'm just making up scenarios, but using these kind of success stories can lead to more people adopting it because they see the potential that's out there. And we also need to have change events. We need to have meetings where people can ask questions about the system. Bring in the developers of the system, the people that are selling the system to the company. Bring them in so they can answer questions, because people in your company might not have all the answers to these people's questions, but the people that are selling the software should. Maybe you have a friendly company that you have, let's say a supplier, that's been using the system for years. And you can ask them, hey, can you come to one of our meetings and explain, share a success story so we can get everybody on board with this change event. And then we need our credibility drivers. So if you can bring in people such as that supplier who's been using the system and they tell you, well, using a system like this sped up our supply chain, we were able to reduce our inventories by X number of dollars and percentage and all these other facts. And then this is how we grew. We grew 3 times our size because we could do this. Well, those things might help with credibility. You never want to have somebody who has a question or you give a bad answer, because then your credibility is going to go down. And bringing in an outside expert, for example, a supplier or a company that is not a competitor of yours, to talk about the system that you're about to implement, that brings credibility because, hey, they've been there and done that. So keep these 5 things in mind. I know I jumped around on it, but because this is going to bring proactive change. You're going to get people on board a lot easier if you bring in and remember these 5 categories. So what are some outcomes of using electronic sourcing on the capability of a company? Well, one of the outcomes is better sourcing decisions, because you have data. You're not just using a gut decision. Lower transactions cost. So instead of a purchasing agent in your company spending 3 days to get something done, they might be able to do it in 1 day. So the cost of that transaction just dropped down 33%. Down to 33%. So you save 66% on that transaction cost. Huge savings. You can get better leverage because now you have all the data right in front of you. You're not trying to flip through paper that's on somebody's desk. If someone goes on vacation, you still have access to all that information. So you're going to be able to leverage. Because when you see all the spend that's out there, you might be able to say, hey, if we combine this, this, and this, and this, and we put this out for bid, there's a possibility of saving 4%. 4% is nothing to laugh at. 1% is nothing to laugh at. I mean, 1% out of $1 million, that's quite a bit of money, right? So think about it. And then we can build stronger supplier relationships because we're essentially enhancing communication and we're monitoring. We know what's going back and forth. We know what's happening. And when we see something going wrong, we can provide facts to the supplier. And the supplier can go, oh, I didn't realize that was happening. We're going to change that. Because now you have the facts and you can communicate those facts. Before, you could just say it, but they'll be like, oh, well, they're just complaining to complain. Well, no, now you have facts. So electronic sourcing has a lot to do, especially when we're trying to build up our capabilities, especially when we're trying to change minds. So let's go ahead and move on to our next video.